Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody is hanging in there today. It's been a rough couple of days, that is for sure. Let's just jump right into some of this stuff. Bond Crypt XRP posted, makes you think if it had future value, you wouldn't auction it, right? The U.S. government is auctioning $377,000 worth of Bitcoin and Litecoin via the General Services Administration. I'm not going to show you the article, but this is a link to it. I kind of agree with this. I think they may be seized assets, so that might be how they have to go about it. But I do find it interesting that they wouldn't be trying to possibly hold on to some of that, just given certain things. But anyway, let's check out what everybody's saying on Squawk Box today.
On Friday, we have
and
to
I'll
watch
ask
that.
you one other thing, and that is, let's say you got your eye on another farm. Is there a place you'd buy Bitcoin to try to make the money? At what level would you re-enter, since you're not sure whether it's a good idea with what the Chinese are doing? Is there a place you'd re-enter to try to fund another farm purchase?
Well, I think that you need to see some people who love it break ranks. I have not heard a person who loves it less. And I think that you and I both know that the bottom comes when people say, you know what, I've had it. And I've not heard that at all. So I'm kind of, let's wait to see some people give it up. By the way, I know Mike said that he doesn't see a lot of margin buying, but I think it's really in China. I think the Chinese are very worried. They don't want billionaires in America to control a rival currency to their own. And the Chinese are not like us. They can shut it down. So I think that it's too early. Too early. I got that farm. It's really nice.
Would you go back in? Would you go back if you could get it where you got it the first time?
Ethereum right now. I like Ethereum more than Bitcoin. I would go back in, yes. I would go back in if I get it back to 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, where I bought a lot. Yeah, I'd go back in. I don't mind that. I just wanted to see to go lower. I love their conviction, but I think someone has to break ranks.
So you have that going on. Then you got some of this.
Listening to you, and I do think Gary Gensler understands. And one of the things that I think works in your favor is you've got a company called Galaxy Digital that's based on crypto. You've got Coinbase that came out with a huge market cap. You've got, Jack Dorsey and Square and PayPal and, all these vested interests in the U.S. government not putting the complete kibosh on something like this. But then again, you've got a government that's fortunes are so dependent on the dollar being the currency of choice for global trade that I think they might have to offset those two concerns. They don't obviously want to put a nascent, innovative industry out of business, but then again, they've got a vested interest in Bitcoin not displacing the dollar, just like I think that's what the Chinese are doing too. I mean, they don't want, like you say, the freedom of them not to be able to have the currency of choice.
Right. I don't think people are seeing Bitcoin as replacing the dollar. I think people are seeing Bitcoin as replacing gold as a hedge versus bad monetary and fiscal, as a hedge versus a slow debasement of the currency. And so, Bitcoin as a store of value, I think most regulators are fine with. When people start talking about it as money and a transactional currency, I think that gets people more nervous. But that's not really Bitcoin's use case at this point. And I do think we're going to have a dollar stablecoin to compete with the Chinese stablecoin. The big difference is ours will be decentralized and theirs will be centralized. China wants complete control of its economy, and that's becoming more and more clear every passing quarter.
That's Mike Novogratz. Keep in mind, he just teamed up with Goldman Sachs to offer liquidity for their futures program. So you got that going on, and I believe he's going to tell you some more stuff here. Let's check this out.
This freedom, and we're talking about the United States being a democracy. How do you think the U.S. is ultimately going to regulate Bitcoin? Because clearly they are not right now in any meaningful way. You now have a number of efforts to put crypto into 401k plans and other things, which I believe ultimately is going to force the hand of regulators to make a decision one way or the other about what that regulation ultimately looks like, what that does to private wallets, what that does to how the Coinbases of the world or your firms or others or all of the banks that are trying to build infrastructure around this are going to have to deal with AML or other things, to the point, arguably, if you were looking on the downside versus the upside, on the downside, that you could actually take away, I would imagine, many of the quote-unquote benefits of a Bitcoin. And so I wonder how you think about that.
It's a good question. Listen, I think regulation is going to help us in the long run, right? Right now, the total crypto market cap is less than $1.5 trillion, right? This whole system works by becoming bigger and bigger, right? It's less than 40 basis points of global net worth. And so the only way it becomes 3%, 4%, 5% is to have institutional money participate. And so we are going to get regulation. Gary Gensler's a very smart guy. I trust that his regulation will be smart. My guess is Coinbase has some guardrails put on them within the next 24 months. I don't think that's bad. Most of the players in the US, including Galaxy, I'm guessing Coinbase, operate like we're regulated. We are regulated by, FinCEN, FINRA, the SEC is a public company, and are the Canadian version at this point. And so I don't think it's going to be as dramatic for the institutional buyers. I think it'll be quite good. It is certainly going to change the dynamic of the retail player. The other thing that's interesting about crypto, it's hard because it's a global market, right? We don't have global markets in general. Like crypto is really the first global market where you're building a protocol, not just for the US bond market or the European bond market, but for a global market. And so the US can do what they do with US participants, but it doesn't stop the other participants.
Keep in mind, he was a Goldman Sachs guy for a long, long time. Smart guy there. MicroStrategy falls with Bitcoin as it holds. Break-even point looms. With the price of Bitcoin just north of 29,000, it's little more than 3,000 a coin above average price of the 26,000 that CEO Saylor shelled out. So yeah, he's got laser eyes still. I know he does. Anyway, excuse me. Chinese miners bring their devices to the U.S. I wanted to show this because a lot of what's going on with Bitcoin, even, a lot of the computing is getting shut down right now. But a lot of those companies, they're not just going to stop. I mean, they want to go somewhere where it's a little more friendly. And there's a lot of legislation being passed. You got Nebraska's doing some stuff, Wyoming, Texas, Florida's getting crypto friendly. Everything in Miami, they're offering nuclear power for this stuff. So, I mean, I know it seems scary and crazy right now, but keep the big picture and the long term in mind. I'm not even a Bitcoin guy. I actually don't hold any Bitcoin. But for crypto at large, what Bitcoin's doing right now is very important. And right now it's in a mass exodus from China, which I also think is a fantastic thing. According to a CNBC consultant, 3 tons of Bitcoin mining machines will be transported to Maryland, USA. Shout out to all my DMV fam up there. China has strengthened its dominance over Bitcoin mining in May after reiterating its ban on working with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. The situation got worse when the federal government ordered a number of mining agencies to cease operations. As expected, the hash rate has dropped notably, especially after the shutdown on Sunday. Some experts saw this as a chance for the U.S. to address displaced miners. Like I said, recently Miami Mayor Suarez has invited Chinese miners to move to the town that he rules, mentioned that Miami will provide incentives for them, tax concessions, infrastructure incentives, scaled down rules to encourage investment. He said since they will use nuclear energy, they will also have the opportunity to benefit from the reduction in electrical energy costs. As of now, the gap in BTC hash rate statements between the U.S. and China remains vital. However, if these miners relocate, they may start to close in the coming months. I'm keeping my eye on that. I think it's great. These guys moved to Kazakhstan. Very similar situation. On track to ship 2,600 more Bitcoin miners. And they have... Yeah, they're shipping a bunch. So they've already shipped 320 Bitcoin mining machines with a total computing power of 18 petahashes, which I do not know what that means exactly. Shipping 2 more batches with a total of 2,600 miners. So you can see, it's just an exodus. People are going to relocate. You got to give them time. This could take, I don't know what the setup entails just as far as setting up a grid and stuff for all the power. But I mean, I could see it being a few weeks before, or even months if this continues. But for these guys that are already moving, I mean, I could see it taking a while to stabilize. I saw this on another YouTube video this morning. Ripple has integrated TCS Quartz, has updated their literature reflecting its 3-year development. What stands out is that it can build Corda, ETH solutions, even connecting them to Swift, but there's only one payment network, and it is Ripple. So here is the graphic for that. It shows their command center with existing systems and a messaging network. Here's your blockchain eco administrators. You got a blockchain ecosystem, the Ripple network, consortia ecosystem, and then here's all the devs. Hyperledger, R3 Corda Settler. Of course, we're familiar with that. Got Ethereum there. And then I had not heard of them, so I looked them up, and the TCS is a consulting agency, and it looks like their revenue in 2021 was 1.6 trillion. I don't know if they're rubles. I don't know if they are. I think they might be, but whatever the Indian currency is, which was 23 billion. So that's interesting to see as well. Same guy posted Illinois' Blockchain Business Development Act resulted in a year-end report by the government, which included a section about Ripple for remittance and SWIFT. So we'll pull that up real quick. Blockchain technology once again can simplify the global transfer process by allowing banks to communicate directly with each other without the use of an intermediary. Further, because all parties will have a copy of the ledger, the use of blockchain will reduce risk as well as the cost and time of the transfer of funds. One blockchain company, in particular, Ripple Labs, has aimed to fix the international payments process. Ripple Labs operates a blockchain platform that allows banks to communicate via blockchain and transfer funds at a lower cost and almost instantaneously. According to the company, the settlement process can be completed within seconds and requires no pre-funding. As of November 2019, Ripple announced it has over 300 customers, which is a low number of users compared to SWIFT, but does show growth for the company against an established intermediary. And I'm sure that number is much higher now anyway. Chris Giancarlo, U.S. risk becoming backwater without central bank digital currency. I talked about some of this yesterday too. Where it talks here, what is very clear is that China intends their digital yuan to be an instrument of state surveillance, and this is why it's one of the reasons the digital dollar project is so animated, because we feel our new mission is to make sure central banks wake up to this and the U.S. Fed wakes up to this, that these social values that got us here, the rule of law, a free capital market, free enterprise, zones of individual economic privacy, are ingrained into a new digital future of the U.S. dollar, and that we don't allow ourselves to be taken in by what China's doing and match that state surveillance approach. I thought that was pretty cool. Bank of Israel, who has Brad Kimes over at Digital Perspectives pointed out this morning, is a huge ally of the U.S. They are confirming that they have a digital shekel pilot and it is underway. And they have also referred to Bitcoin as a pyramid scheme. I don't know if I have 1,000. I get it, but I'm not going to get into that. So it's just interesting to see that they are actually, what we were talking about is a payment system. Bitcoin is not a payment system and is not a currency. In the best situation, it is a financial asset, and in the worst, it is a pyramid scam. So they seem like they are looking at CBDC stuff. It's interesting. BondCrypt passed what it seems it's beginning with those utility will remain. More altcoins are tossed overboard as banking deadline looms. Big cryptocurrency exchanges continue to cut the number of altcoins they offer as they seek banking relationships. This is a Korean news outlet here, so this is not applying to like what we have going on over here directly. They were referencing to that. I did think that was interesting, though. I've always said the ones that will survive will be the ones that people are using. When this happens, not if it happens, but when the regulatory hammer comes down on this space, like, you better hope that people are using what you got, because if they're not, you're going to be broke. That's not financial advice. That's just my opinion. Some good news here. Portugal begins approving cryptocurrency exchanges. 2 have been licensed so far. The country's central bank has licensed Mind the Coin and I'm not going to try to say that either. The central bank in Portugal is responsible for registering these entities that intend to act as virtual asset service providers, and they must ensure that they are in compliance with legal and regulatory provisions on the prevention of money laundering and terrorist financing. It's pretty cool. Good for Portugal. Then we have Dark Defender, who's one of my favorite Twitter guys for technical analysts. He says, Deers, we expected an ABC correction to be finalized at 65 cents, but XRP broke that level. So in the long run, where are we? I have updated the correction pattern. XRP will walk through the targets. We are witnessing the financial conversion. Birth has never been easy. It goes on to talk the second wave of Elliott, which is corrective, is almost completed. And if you I'm not good on Elliott waves. I know it's a lot of the TAs are really into Elliott theory and stuff, and it's pretty sneaky accurate from what I understand. So this is what he's saying. He's been right about quite a few things. I like what he says, so you guys should give him a follow as well. And just to end this off on a good note, or a better note, I guess we'll say, at least now it has slowed down a little bit. We saw it yesterday bounce back up like this too, but just in 1 hour, you're seeing 5%. You got some 10%. Things starting to try to figure themselves out. Grab my watch list. V-Chain's back in the double digits. Nexo's back in the double digits. It'll be nice when this 24-hour row here turns green, but I just want to throw this up here to show, it looks like to me that we're not in a total free fall anymore. Bitcoin's kicked back up over 32,000, and I'm hoping that it's game on time, man. I think that could have been the last shakeout, and it might be time to roar. That's just based on absorbed information across the interwebs and me forming an opinion with it. So, not financial advice, as always, but with that, I'm going to get out of here, and I'll be dropping another one later. You guys try to stay relaxed, quit looking at your phone, and try to enjoy your day. It'll be all right soon.